Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sharice Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey everyone. So I wanted to talk about a topic that comes up time and time again with my successful women, my driven women, my hustling women. This is for you. And it is all about that word hustle, right? And, you know, I speak about this all the time, but I want to come back to this point that if you were raised in the 90s, and even before that, if you were raised in that time frame, you would know that a hustler was like the key terminology, and you wanted to be a hustler. You know, the song Diva by Beyonce is like, a diva is a female version of a hustler. That was my anthem, right? That was on blast in my car when I first passed my driving test in my Peugeot 106 blue with the windows down. I was raving to that song, right? And that was, I guess, the feminist movement in its most toxic space, right? And I mean that with love, because I'm very much a feminist. I believe in the social, political and economical equality of women, right? I do. But you will know, if you have been listening to me before, that the divine feminine energy and divine feminine leadership movement that I am a part of and advocating it in my own life. I mean, I don't know if there's a committee. If there is, I'm not in one, but I am very much a part of this energetic, spiritual, but also physical movement that as women, it's about reclaiming our softness, okay? Now, if you are, and you were pumping along to me singing Diva by Beyonce, you may be wildly offended by the movement that you are allowed to be soft, right? But it really is this key part that we are skipping a beat on and, you know, unfortunately falling into really heavy burnout cycles as a result of us not honoring our rest cycles. And I have done a lot of work with specialist mentors that focus on how to use your cycle as a reference point to your energy levels, you know. And I'm not the expert on this, but I will give you some of the people that I follow in the show notes so you can find them, and you know, they could tell you more about that, whether it's business related or just general, you know, working with your cycle in life business mode, you know. I don't mean work business there. I mean, you know, like getting down to business, you know, doing the thing. Because I think it's really important that we honor it. Now, I do work with the moon cycles. So when it's a full moon, I know it's all about releasing. And when it's a new moon, that's when we set our new intentions and we get ready for ushering whatever it else is that we want to bring into this space. And that for me in itself is a really powerful way for me to honor my own needs. And I'll know that when it comes to the full moon and the new moon, I'll tell you what, when the moon is doing some big things, I am exhausted. I haven't got it in me, right? And when my friends say to me, oh, I'm absolutely shattered, what's going on? I don't get it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the moon. And then at first they were like, what? Now they're like, oh, yeah. Or I'll just get random messages like, what is the moon doing today? Because I'm not in a good way. It's so funny if my clients are like, what's happening? Because I'm not right. And it could be retrogrades and all the things. But coming back to the point, it is about us honoring the fact that we are not supposed to be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you are, a stay-at-home mum and or, you're a working mum, or if you are a hustling businesswoman, you will resonate with this because I know that you have no choice, right? In whatever capacity your life is right now, you have no choice but to run at 100 miles an hour and do all of the things. This here in this episode is your permission slip to put it all down, right? Put it down, walk away, take a step back right now, energetically, if you can. If you're walking, listening to this, or if you are in a space in the kitchen, whatever you're doing right now, close your eyes, deep breath in, step back, and just imagine that you're throwing it all on the floor, whatever it is, the responsibility, the pressure, the expectations. Just imagine you are literally lifting it off of your shoulders and just throwing it onto the floor. See it smash into a million pieces, and just allow yourself to just breathe in and then breathe out and just let it all go. You've just energetically gave yourself some freedom. And so I know that right now you might not be able to just stop everything you're doing because that isn't realistic. But what I'd love for you to start doing, especially if you're a really busy person, is start putting in your diary time where you can have a cup of tea and 15 minutes to just sit. Right? Start scheduling that time into your diary. I say it all the time to my clients as well. If you're in back-to-back calls all day, you have to give yourself a 15-20 minute window for you to get up, move around, make yourself a drink, go to the toilet as well, because that's a problem in itself. UTIs and all of those things happen because you are not honoring your body's needs because you're on push mode, right? That has never been the way that women were supposed to move and work. And yes, that we are now in the workforce. We are now, equal to men in regards to like we can get the same job as them. There is still a big pay gap. I'm not trying to say there's not, but we are taking on the same responsibility as men and more because we are also being the caregivers, the nurturers, and the cooks at home as well, right? Now, there are men that are taking over these roles now, which are amazing, and relationships where people each take chores and things like that. But, predominantly, we're still in a position in the world where women are also unpaid carers as well as paid workers. And that results in us being in these cycles where we do feel burnt out, we do feel resentful, we do feel exhausted because we don't know another way to do it. I'm here to show you there is another way. And yes, it may seem a little bit pernickety at the beginning, like I said, schedule it into your diary, rest. But until you get into the natural rhythm of listening to what your body needs, you need to start to structure it in until it becomes a habit naturally, right? Same like learning to drive. If you've been learning to drive, you'll know that you have to do mirror, mirror, signal when you're about to change lanes or go to the roundabout or whatever it is you're doing. You need to check those mirrors. And even when you do your driving test, you have to exaggerate your head so the instructor can see that you are doing those obvious signs to then move across. But actually, when you become a driver, you are still doing that, but it just becomes so natural, right? And this is what I want you to do with your own softening and your own well-being practices, because here's the honest truth, ladies, that if you are not factoring in time to rest and to soften and take it easy, you will find yourself ill. You will find yourself with illnesses, and you will find yourself being grouchy, agitated, and as I said, in that burnout loop. Now, if you don't know what burnout is when you are just exhausted physically, mentally, spiritually, and all of the things. And I know the thing about that cycle is it's become so normalized to you that you will just say, oh, that's just the way it is for me, or that's just how it is, or I've got no other choice. You do. Yeah, you absolutely do. And a part of you is addicted to that cycle. And it makes you probably feel like you are achieving something by being in that loop. And that's a toxic thing. And I'm saying that with love because I have been that, right? And I often talk about how, I've come from a family of addiction. And I used to really turn my nose up at, substance abuse or alcohol abuse because I was like, oh, I don't get why people do it. Rah, rah, rah. But that was obviously when I was younger and I was, resentful for it because I'd watched it, not realizing that I was addicted to this hard work cycle that I'm talking to you about. I used to say the toxic things like rest is for the wicked, no rest for the wicked, and sleep when you're dead, like that type of thing. And what I realized now was I was only, well, making it quicker to get to the dead part, right? If I'm honest, because, the amount of times that I was emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted and pushing through that, then add the unprocessed trauma within that space as well. It was just a melting pot of disaster. And when I embarked on my healing journey and found out that there was another way to live, I was like, wow, why is this not taught? Hello, I'm here to teach you this, right? So, first and foremost, your body needs to rest. So you are not a robot, you are not a machine, you are a human being, and within that you are required basic human needs, which are rest, and food, yeah, and the use of toilet. Yeah, that is what you need as a baseline. Your very, very baseline. And that's that, I think it's the hierarchy of needs literally speaks about that, right? And if you aren't giving yourself enough hours to sleep, you are already starting on the back foot. Then you add in the fact that you aren't adding in time to eat your meals or drink enough water or enough, whatever it is you want, tea. And again, drinking too much coffee. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Drinking too much coffee, not enough water. Yes, that's also neglecting your own needs, right? And then again, going to the toilet. I know that this seems like a very, thing that I'm telling you that is probably a bit patronizing, but the amount of women that I speak to that will hold the toilet all day because they, I don't know, one, don't want to use the toilet in the office or wherever they are, or two, just want to hold it. That is not helping your body. Like, I'm speaking to you with a stern voice right now because you are neglecting your own needs, and it will result in something that is far worse than just a bellyache. This is where you could get problems with gallbladder and kidney stones and all those things. The UTIs, they all come from you neglecting your own needs. That is self-abandonment. And I'm angry about it for you because I understand that, you've had to put yourself last in certain situations because that was what you were taught. But you are now an adult and you need to take better care of yourself, because when you take better care of yourself, you say to everyone in your life that you mean something, right? That you are important and your needs matter. So when you are physically looking after yourself and emotionally looking after yourself, everyone around you can't help but do the same. And when you start to see yourself as a priority, everyone in your world will too, And I cannot scream that from the top of the rooftops, right? So, yes, I'm sorry I had to go have a go at you on that, but this is all part of the important process of allowing yourself to soften, because the moment your needs are being met physically by yourself, that gives you the permission to emotionally meet your needs too. And I really believe that if you are someone that is working in an office, 4 days, 4 days in the office is the maximum you need to be there, right? You need that day in between to get up when it feels good for you, right? And if you've got to do the school run and all those things, I get it. It's a lot, it's hustle, and or you want to hit the gym, rah, rah, rah. But there has to be a moment in your week where you do have a lay-in of sorts, where you do have a slow morning where you can get up and do the rhythm that you want to do. And I would really urge you to, just right now, if you get a chance, pen and paper, write down what these key things that you want to start adding into your life. Maybe it is that you want to get up listening to a really lovely affirmation track or some like Hertz frequency. If that feels a little bit too woo-woo, maybe you just listen to your favorite song as your alarm. So when you get up, you're automatically just starting to feel good in your body. You start doing a movement practice. I've actually got my new series that's absolutely free, and it's the main character energy activations. I'll tag that below. So then if you're thinking, right, I need a morning sort of thing to get me up and moving, that will be it, because it's feel good vibes. I've also got a movement practice within that, and an evening one that you can do kind of as you're getting ready for bed. Just as a side note, if you're looking for something like that to add into your week, just to help you out there. But yeah, when you think about, like, starting your day how you mean to go on, and then take your time, make a nice breakfast for yourself. I have a friend that lights a candle at breakfast time for herself, and it's like a real self romanticism because she gets to enjoy it. Now, if you are obviously looking after children or whatever, maybe lighting a candle for breakfast might not work, but it's all about creating these sacred spaces for yourself. And when we do make ourselves a delicious breakfast or a delicious drink, my thing at the moment is I have a coffee when I'm out, because I like to go to a coffee shop to work. It's part of my human design. For some reason, the kitchens, coffee shops are where I thrive. I agree, that is what happens. I'm really creative there. So when I get home again after, I like to make myself a matcha, and if the weather's nice, I'll make myself an iced matcha, and I just take my time making it. And then when I drink it, I'm really intentional about knowing that I took my time to make this for me, right? Now, even if it's just you have a certain coffee that you have one of them a day, but you have a couple of instant ones, and maybe you have a nice one, or there's a certain tea that you like. First of all, treat yourself to the packet so you can make it for yourself. And I would love for you to get into the habit of making things with devotion, right? And I know that this is woo-woo for some of you, but when you are intentional, like, you cannot be a cup of tea from a certain person. You've all probably got that person in your life that makes a really good cup of tea. They're making it for you with love, right? So if you can make yourself your own drink with love every single day, there's just that little bit of one, self-love, one, self-care, but also, most importantly, it's showing yourself that you matter and that you are important, because you should be your most important person in your life. And I know if you've got children, they all come in first place and all these things, but I'll say it again. I've said it till I've gone blue in the face, and I'll say it again. But if you can't love yourself, then everyone else that you love, you're loving conditionally, because the way that you love yourself is how you love other people. So the more nurturing you give to you, you are naturally overpouring that love and energy into everyone else around you. And that's why it's so important. But we live and we pour from the overflow, right? So this is where the softening is, maybe it means that instead of doing 4 days of spin at the gym, you're doing 3 days of spin and 1 day of stretch, or weights, or whatever that is. It's about us choosing the softer option. And I know you're going to say to me, well, what's that achieving? Try it. Try it for 2 weeks and let me know how you feel at the end of those 2 weeks, once you've started to add in 1 day where you get up a little bit later and indulging having a lie-in, and it could be that it's the weekend, it could be the day that you don't have your children, it could be your day when you're working from home, giving you examples of what that might look like in your own life. And really, like I said, every day, take an intentional moment to drink your tea, make your drink that you like, make your lunch that you like. This weekend, it's a bank holiday if you're listening to time, go out, get your groceries and get that specific thing that you enjoy, whether it's a certain brand of chickpeas, for example, like go and get that brand of hummus, of whatever it is. So when you eat it, there's a little moment of joy there. And I'm not saying for you to go and buy caviar and lobster. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, by all means, do if you want to, but it gets to be in these little small moments, because in these little small moments, you're building up that self-trust. And, I've said it a million times, but for me, self-love really is self-respect plus self-acceptance. Self-trust is the build to self-respect. And when you respect yourself, that is mirrored out. Everyone around you starts to respect you because you respect you. And I can't sing that enough. And I feel like I'm having a go at you in this episode, but it's because all of the women that have ever worked with me in any capacity, whether it's a workshop, whether I'm doing a talk on stage or one-to-one clients, every single woman at some point in her life has abandoned herself, her own needs, her own wants, in a bid to either conform with what society wants or to conform with what the people around her want. And when for the people that I know that have become parents young, that's all you've ever known is to put your child before you, right? And then if you don't have children but you are a highly driven successful woman, your career has always come first. But there is a reality here where you get to pour into you first. And again, write down for yourself, what does the ideal day look like? Maybe it's that you actually book your first call in at 11 so you can get up at like 8 o'clock and make your nice breakfast, go for a stretch, go for a walk, take your time with your day before you get started, if you can do that, right? And then if you are a parent, can you, I don't know, on a weekend, maybe you might be able to get a lie in if you're lucky. But if you're not, maybe it's about getting up 10-15 minutes before your kids usually do. Make yourself your intentional tea. And then in the evening, when the kids go to bed, maybe it's that your self care looks like you go to bed half an hour earlier than what you normally do so you can unwind for yourself. And I don't mean sitting there watching Netflix for an extra hour. What I mean is, what is going to feel good? Maybe it's going into the bath undisturbed, listening to music. I'm talking about the things that don't overstimulate you, because the thing is about the TV, I know it feels like you're unwinding, but all you're doing is subconsciously picking up what you've watched. So what tends to happen is you'll end up dreaming about what you've been watching because your brain is still on, right? I do it, I'm not a massive digital person, so when it gets to about 11 o'clock, all my digital devices switch off and then I start to wind down. But actually sometimes it's before that as well. But I know for me, I mean, I'm like a night owl and then a late morning person, which my friends absolutely hate when we're on holiday. But to be honest, when I'm away, I do get up earlier, and I can get up early if I want to, but I just don't like to, right? And this is the perks of being your own boss. You can do what you want. And if you are someone that is your own boss, but you've been getting up at 6 a.m. because everyone said that it's 6 a.m. club, 5 a.m. club, but actually you don't enjoy it, stop doing it. I do not conform to what other people think is successful or worthy. Like everyone has a certain brand of gym clothes that they all wear, or everyone's starting to do reformer Pilates now. I was doing reformer Pilates about 12 years ago when I was at uni and I was a dancer, and that was one of the things they used to actually help us with our injuries. So it's just funny how trends come around and then we all jump on them. Now, don't get me wrong, if you love reformer Pilates, keep doing it. I'm not saying not to, but what I'm saying is that this is the kind of subconscious programming that society indoctrinates onto us, and we follow that regimen, even down to like, working parents and being single at late 30s, early 40s. There's all these points of view that people will project onto you. But when you know what you're doing because it works for you, that's when you take your power back. Like my friends might say to me, would have said to me in the past, oh, you're lazy because you get up later. That's not true, is it? Because I'm still managing to get done more in my day than you are getting up at 5 a.m. because I'm productive in the time that I'm awake. There's the difference. Do you see? So what I'm trying to say is, hustling for the sake of hustling doesn't get you anywhere. But collapsing time and being intentional with it makes you productive. And that for me means I'm honouring the moments where I get to rest. I'm prioritising the fact that I genuinely need about 9 hours sleep. I just do. That's the way I function on my highest. But again, I can get up earlier if I need to. But for me, my body needs 9 hours rest. And for anyone listening that has been putting sleep last, this is your permission slip that you need to tell you that you can get up whenever you want to. This is your permission slip to say that if you need just a day for yourself, call in sick. Have that time for you, because I just think that attendance, showing up, being there, being in the room is like so pushed on us. Now, being in the room in certain instances, like if you've got an online business and you're always online, you need to be in person events, right? That's just the way it is. If that's not you, when you're turning up to the office every day, that thing, it could have been an email, one of those, yeah? That day that could have been an email, don't go into work, stay at home, And we have to find this balance for ourselves, and it takes courage. It really does. I know it does. But if you're listening to what I'm saying now, and this is like awakening something within you, I do invite you in to come and have a conversation with me, right? I literally have a specific offer for this type of problem or issue in your life, because this for me is like the cherry on top of the cake, right? As in, maybe everything else in your life feels like it's moving, it's not horrific, it's not all falling apart, it's just this one shift that you need to make, and like a domino effect, everything in your life will start to fall in place as a result of it. But at the moment, you are almost hanging off of a cliff of whether it all works or whether you crumble in exhaustion, in burnout, in trying to prove yourself, right? I will help you shift your foundation so you are able to fully receive not only the support and love that you deserve, but also your success and your happiness becomes a byproduct of you choosing you. That means not sacrificing your own needs, not putting yourself last. That's the work that I do with my clients, and especially in the Becoming Iconic VIP 90-minute call. That is literally what it's about. In 90 minutes, we break down what is the current problem that you're facing that you believe it is. And then when you explain to me what it is, we're going to pull it apart and go even further to see where that pattern actually started. Because I can guarantee you, it's probably not even yours. It's probably your dad's mum's cat, I'm joking. It's probably, your parents that you've observed their behavior patterns, and or something they've told you in your childhood that you carried with you. They need to prove yourself. They need to make yourself smaller in order to be more accepted. These are the little increments that I can see through the gaps, and that's why I'm so incredible at what I do. And what's really funny as well, that I just want to add to this, because I'm going to create a whole post on this, but I want to tell you in here, is that my human design is a 5-1, right? That literally means that I was brought into this world in turbulent circumstances so I could learn and understand the way my life went, the way, learn through it, grow through it. So then I am now able to teach from it. And not only is it based on my own lived experiences, it's based on the knowledge that I've obtained, my degree, my master's degree, from all of the research I've done into the different forms of, therapy, movement therapy, somatics, all of these different things. And all of my clients always say to me, you always know so much. How do you know so much? It is my 5-1 profile in human design. Not only that, I'm a Leo sun and a Leo rising with a Leo stellium. I was born to lead, and I'm also a Capricorn moon. That's the structure right there. That's the masculine right there. In every form of whatever you type in, right, for my life, for my patterns and everything, I was born to lead, right? I was born to guide women out of the darkness and into their own light. That is literally what my whole life is about. And it was meant for me, right? So I'm saying that to you, not as a flag of, hey, I'm Charisse, I'm amazing. That too, right? That too, because we get to own it. But more so for you to know that this is why I do what I do, because I've lived through it. And in that 90-minute session, we are able to decode these codings that have been repeated in the patterns that you see every day in your own life. And 2 days after that, we have voice note support, and that voice note support is gold. In the voice note support I've had with my clients, it has been quantum leaps, back to back to back, because the one problem they came to me with, we're able to dissect into a million pieces, and they are now able to understand where it came from, why it happened the way it did, accept it, release it, and from that space rebuild on who they know they want to be and start to implement it in real time. And that offer is £333, and that is a steal. And I feel like I created it at the time, not knowing it was going to be so much value. And it's actually absurd that this is how much value it is. So if you're listening to time, I've got 2 spaces left for that offer and that price. If you're not listening to time, the price is doubled. But the value is there, and it's still my cheapest offering for one-to-one support. And I feel like it's a really great one for any stage of life you're in. So if any point you're feeling like the weight of what you're going through is too much and you need a real-time shift, that is the offer for you. So all in all, I really hope that this episode has shifted you out of giving your power away and out of these cycles of, put yourself last and the self-abandonment. And I hope it shifts you into a space of you understanding actually why you need to put yourself first, why you need to rest, and why there is so much power in the softness, because that's where you recharge. That's where you completely refill yourself in the most beautiful way. So then you have got more to give, and then you can live and pour out from your overflow, right? For too many years, too much time in your life, you will have given the very last drop of everything you are. It's now time that you fill your cup up first so you can pour out into everyone else. And that's when everyone else gets the best of you, when you get the best of you. So I'm sending you so much love. And if you have any questions, obviously my DMs are always open. If anything resonated with you, please put it in the comments, and do share with another woman that needs to hear this right now, because it's all love. Everything I say comes from my heart, my lived experiences, and also the experiences of my clients too, So yes, sending you so much love, and I wish you a beautiful week.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, share, and send to someone you know that would benefit. If what I've said in this episode resonates with you, please don't hesitate to drop me a message so we can begin your journey of self-empowerment through self-discovery. My process is simple. Understand what happened to you so you can accept it. From there, you can release what no longer serves you, and then we begin to rebuild your self-worth, your self-esteem, and your self-trust to ultimately ensure that you become the version of yourself that you were destined to be. Time to give yourself the permission to shine.